And then the other thing was, now this was yesterday. Um, both of the green ones are done. They were talking yesterday about the release of the information from the January 6th committee. And there was a former federal prosecutor, and I'm not trying to bag on her. I think she was being honest. I actually respect her. It's I think she's gotten divorced or something, because she used to just be known as Joyce Vance, and now it's Joyce Vance, and she's got another name. So I think either she's gotten married or she's going by her maiden and married name now or something has changed in her life, and I don't know which. But I always think of her as Joyce Vance because she's been, billed as that for a couple years now. And let's go find a bed. And, but she was talking about all this information that has come out from the January 6th committee, and she said it might be a problem for the DOJ depending on what they've done. Because she said, when you finally indict someone and you go to trial, they have to give over the discovery. So they would get this eventually. But since the DOJ hasn't charged a lot of these people, they made the comment that, this might be a problem for the DOJ because now any potential suspect or target, someone who might get indicted, they are well aware of what the DOJ is aware of now. And it could basically help them in strategizing and all this other shit. And the thing I want to talk about is she's a former senator, I think, from Missouri, and Claire McCaskill, I think, is her name. She's not from my state, so bear with me on that. And she got on for a minute, and she said, "Well, I take issue with that." And she goes, "I'm not." She goes, and she said, "I think Joyce is being, honest about this, and I don't think she's necessarily wrong." But she made the comment that, that I don't. She goes, "I don't think there's anybody that thinks the DOJ has less resources than the federal government." And she goes, the federal government, the DOJ, they had to have at least had the ability to get this as fast as Congress, probably faster. She goes, if they had done their job, she goes, they would have had this information probably the same time the January 6th committee did, and they could have moved to indict probably 6 months or a year ago. And this is what I've been saying. When you look at the fact that there were phones that likely contained evidence at the Secret Service, and at Department of Homeland Security, not to mention a bunch of people that worked for Trump at the cabinet level or at the upper echelons of not just the foot soldiers. And you go back and look at Abu Ghraib, not the low-hanging fruit, but the people that were given orders. Not the people just getting them, but the people that were given orders. There were photos that eventually leaked out, and you had sergeants, low-ranking officers that were all watching that shit go on, and they did nothing. Chris Matthews, when he was on, he made the comment, he goes, let's be honest, he goes, these soldiers probably did not take the dog collars there. When you saw those photos with the dog collars and everything, he goes, likely somebody gave them those. And he goes, we need to see those people prosecuted. And you never did. We didn't even find out who they were. We just didn't. And, you know, it was kind of the same thing here when and I'm not saying it's Biden's fault. I'm saying it's Garland's fault. But they clearly were just going to target the low-hanging fruit, you know, and let the people running it off the hook. Or he would have got in there and he would have seized those phones like immediately. Like, hey, Secret Service, you guys, your phones and that might have evidence. Give it up. Give it up, fucking Tiny. No, they basically let it go on until they had time to delete the phones. And they haven't brought charges against any of them because they were given memos letting them know that they needed that was information that was being requested by the Senate or by Congress. And they've got records that they're supposed to follow. They don't seem to be able to follow their records. This isn't the first time the Secret Service has destroyed information relating to crimes potentially. And no charges. Still haven't seen any indictments for people that were on the ground or in the upper offices at the DHS or Secret Service. Still haven't. And so she was bringing up, you know, it's like, look, if the DOJ is upset about this, they should have done their fucking job. And that's what she was getting at. And I really appreciate, because I've been saying it for a while now. And it's nice to see people in charge starting to fucking own up to this. It's like, yeah, this was done poorly. Let's go ahead. So she did that. She did that yesterday.